Okay, so what is adaptive training that we're announcing today? The idea of this is we want your training to adapt based on your performance. Previously with our training, we've always tried to do a bell curve, right? So if you say life's a bell curve, we try to hit the middle to get the most people better all the time. But there's all of these things that happen with physiology and with life in general that could make it that if you fell outside of that bell curve without podcast, without knowledge and stuff, it was hard to adjust. And the podcast itself, we've been trying to say these things over the years to try to get it where if you do fall in those ones, you can make some kind of adjustments yourself. We read, you've probably seen me around on the forums and on the internet, reread it all, and we tried to make a system to solve everything that we could and have that system self-improve, that core value of constant improvement in the future, that based on the data coming in, it gets better and better and better and learns from your performance as it goes along. So that's super exciting. I'm going to talk about, it's a lot of stuff to talk about. And because I'm talking about details, I'm hoping the other podcast coaches can help me with talking more about the value, because I will go just way deep into the details. And also too, there's some stuff that is proprietary, and I'm going to try to call that out. And we'll have more discussions on the forum. I'm sure I'm just going to be typing for like days away. And it's really hard for me not to share everything, but I know there's some things I can't share. So I'm sorry about that. So the basis, the kind of core of adaptive training is built around the idea of progressions. So a progression, and this is a progression per energy system. So one thing you may have seen in that launch video is we are breaking out sprint, anaerobic, VO2, threshold, sweet spot, tempo, endurance. Those are all now their own measured energy systems with their own progressions. But you don't have to test them, because we think that testing, there's its own inaccuracies inside of that. That's why we developed the ramp test rather than like a 20-minute or 8-minute test. So what we've done is for these energy systems, we've built out progressions. So they are measured in level 1 through 10. And they take into account the difficulty, the rest periods, the peak difficulty, the duration. And what this allows you to do is we can really finely measure where you are in this energy system. So Chad, what are some examples of progressions inside of it, like an energy system?
Yeah, so let me give you just 3 really straightforward ones. If you look at an endurance ride, something where you're just doing long, slow distance at maybe 60, 65, maybe 70% of your threshold, maybe it's a 2-hour workout on a Sunday. And then the next Sunday, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. And then the next Sunday, it's 2 hours and 30. In that case, we're progressing it in terms of duration. Something like sweet spot, where I commonly start off with a 4x6 workout that could progress to a 4x7 workout the next week, and then a 4x8. The progressions can take place in a number of different ways, but either way, we're focusing on that energy system and making it a little bit progressively more challenging and potentially productive the following week. And then VO2 max, it's really common to start with the traditional length 2-minute VO2 max repeats. And then we maybe progress that to 2:30s, and then a week or two later, progress that to 3 minutes. And
it might not even be the duration, but also the percentage. So for VO2 max, a lower level VO2 max might be a 115, 117. And then what we can do is, based on your performance, we can start you at the correct spot. There's one thing that's super important in this that's going to mess with a bunch of people's brains. It has messed with all of the TrainerRoad's employees' brains, is TSS versus like where you're in your progression level. Let me give you an example. 4 by 10 minutes at threshold in the same hour workout is the same TSS as 1 40-minute interval at threshold. Which one are you better? Which one are you stronger at?
Yeah. Which one do you want to do?
Right. I think we all know which one of those is harder.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to do a 40K TT, building in a progression from 10-minute intervals to 12 to 15, maybe then it's a little bit less, and having this system correctly can go get you to those 40 minutes. And we're going to talk about that with how this relates to ramp tests and how we make sure that you don't jump in too deep too early, because that's also been a problem with a lot of people. So I see here that, one other thing, it's really cool. We'll get into our machine learning failure rates on top of the workouts. But what we did is we developed it's an algorithm to rank the difficulty of workouts, and it's unique per energy system. But then also we have machine learning failure rates that we then we cross-referenced. And we have a very strong correlation between what our how we rank workouts and actually like how likely someone is to finish those workouts based on our machine learning, the failure rates. And so I'm just saying we're very happy with it, and it's amazing how you can titrate really closely how difficult a workout is. This is a new chart. This is your progression level chart. So as you go through and you work inside of this new adaptive training system, you have a new level for endurance, tempo, sweet spot, threshold, VO2, anaerobic, and sprint. And as you accomplish a workout, these levels will adjust based on your performance. Now, there's different decay rates per energy system, and we've talked about this before. There's a different ability to do other workouts and get moved up, and there's also a relationship between energy systems. For instance, if you do a 2x20 threshold, well, it actually will push up your sweet spot energy system. And we've also used our data. What we did is, I alluded to this a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, is the relationship between how hard a level you can do in one workout energy system and how that relates to your performance in another energy system. And we use that data to figure out those, to be able to create these projections here too. And this built in with our plans allows you to see what your projected energy level inside of that system, like what your threshold level is going to be at the end of your plan and where you started at. So for instance, this athlete has increased all their levels and it's projected a lot in the future. Now, one thing that we've seen on this and that we're very worried about is that everyone might want to be like level 10s throughout everything. You don't need to do that. That's kind of like, this is a reflection of where you're at right now, and it's going to change a lot. And if you're a triathlete and your sprint says a level 2 or level 1, like, you don't need to make it level 10. But if you're a crit racer and your anaerobic says level 1 or 2, that's probably a bad thing, right? But our system will automatically help you improve that without you having to worry about it. So that's really the goal is let me say this a different way. If you've been someone, and we'll talk about this the ramp test, but after you do a test, you have problems in a specific energy system, this is fixing that. This makes it so you get the appropriate VO2 max, you get the appropriate threshold, you get the appropriate sweet spot, the appropriate endurance based on your performance. And for everyone who's already been signed up, we already have your data. We know where you lie, and it's already been ran through it, which is super cool. Yes, Chad?
Yeah, so basically we're chasing improvement in relevant energy systems. We're not chasing perfection in all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this is, so another way, energy systems, we're kind of using that interchangeably right now with training zones and what your power zones are.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, just to clarify that. And then one of the things that we're looking at is, we know there are individual variations, not only in your physiology as an individual, but also in your training history too, right? So Pete and I are really good examples of some contrasting profiles in this regard. So Pete could progress his top end systems like VO2, anaerobic, and sprint way faster than I can. Like, he's going to start way ahead of me, no matter, even if he's coming off the couch. Chad, you had some comments on that one too, because Pete's kind of a unique animal.
he absolutely is. He's one of those guys who doesn't have a really high VO2 max, but he can work at long durations at really high percentages. I mean, he can almost hold VO2 max for minutes on end, whereas most people train for a couple minutes at a time before they have to rest before they can do it again. So the way he progresses through VO2 max is very different than the way someone like I would progress through it.
Yeah, or me. Yeah, go ahead, Nate.
No, I just saying, like, to the these things change very quickly too, based on what you've trained recently and what you haven't trained. If you've done a whole bunch of threshold and you've never done any VO2, your VO2 is going to like pop up really fast, and it works vice versa too. And that's why we needed to build something where even inside of a 6 weeks, like, your rate of ramp change depends on internal physiological changes, your past training history, but also your lifestyle and what's happening. So we didn't want to make it a static system. It had to learn from each performance and move forward. And we'll get more on that in a second.
Well, I was just going to reiterate a little bit that, Pete is one, Pete has a certain kind of physiology profile where somebody like me, I can bring my FTP up really fast because I have a really, really long training history. but my top end always takes a little while to come around. So that's kind of where my physiology naturally lies. And just because your physiology is a certain way doesn't mean you have to play directly to that. Like Chad was saying, we want to be relevant. So what we want to do is look at what your goals are. So the goals are really important. Nate, you mentioned this. If you're a triathlete or you're somebody who's focused on 40K TT, we're not too worried about what your anaerobic or sprint zones are doing, right? We're really worried about where your threshold, VO2, and sweet spot are going to be. So what we want to do with this system is we want to help you get to where you want to be in the zones that are relevant to your goals. And we want to help you get there at the rate of progression that's going to be accurate and correct for your individual physiology. And not only your physiology, but what's going on in your life too. Because if you're going through a really high period of stress, that's probably not the time to progress really, really fast through your progression rate.
Yeah. And some things to add to this really quick, Nate. So a good point too, Amber, you mentioned that for the different types of riding you're going to do or racing you're going to do, but it's also dependent on the different phase that you're in. For example, in the base phase right now, my VO2 anaerobic and sprint, they're really low, and that's where they should be, right? Because I haven't been working on them. So to answer, I guess, the question of like, well, this always going to make me year round as a crit racer, really high anaerobic and sprint? No. It's going to train you as the athlete you need to be and build that as you go. What your levels will be is a manifestation of improvement along the way. So that's the really cool thing. I think a lot of us athletes are going to look at how we improve now from a totally different lens. Instead of just like, it's my FTP and dang, it didn't go up, or wow, it really went up. Instead, we get to see ourselves step all the way along. And for a specialty plan, and maybe for a specialty plan like the crit plan, maybe you won't see a big FTP increase, but that doesn't matter, right? Because you've done all that work, you've gone through a build phase, you've done all of that. And instead it's really about aerobic and sprint. So if I can just,
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if your FTP hasn't gone up a lot, but you've gone from a point of being able to do 4x10 at threshold to now you can do a 1x40 at threshold, even if your FTP hasn't come up a lot, that's huge progress. That's huge progress. And now we can see that really clearly, and you can see it happening in real time as you're putting in the work.
It's cool. It is super rewarding. And one thing, Nate, just before I toss it back to you on this, I want to recap something very clearly for everybody. So if you are bad at VO2 max, this fixes it. If you are bad at sustained work, this fixes it. If you find yourself always coming, and Nate will talk about this in just a bit with the ramp test. If you find yourself frustrated because testing, whichever format you use, you feel like it doesn't give you an accurate read, this fixes it, whether it's high or low. So that's really important to get into all of our heads here, because this uses these levels to be able to train you as an individual. It's super cool.
And I'd say too, it's not that you're bad at it. You just weren't in the middle of the bell curve.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it made things either too hard or too easy for you.
It's a relative weakness.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's talk about the ramp test. So the ramp test is staying. And what we like about the ramp test is it is a repeatable all-out effort. You don't have to, we don't like the 20-minute or 8-minute test that we used to do, because you had to know what your FTP was before you did it, or you need to know your power target, because if you don't do that, you won't have you won't hold a consistent average power. And if you know that, why even test? It seems kind of silly to do that. So, right?
Sorry. Yeah. You just blew my mind on it. Sorry.
And two, with our data, with our failure rate data that we have, which again, we're going to go into it more, we've seen that people who do the 20-minute or 8-minute test are more likely to fail workouts, but also do something we call internally a super pass, which means they go way above. So what we see is on those kind of tests, they don't get people locked in as close as they should. But on the other hand, not everyone is that 75%. And I have seen people say that they either, they do the ramp test and either the next workouts are very easy, or workouts that should be achievable are very hard. And that has killed me. Like, I hate seeing those things. And what we've done on the podcast is we've talked about, adjusting the workout intensity that's built inside of there. And you kind of like titrate it yourself inside of workouts to be able to get a good, to get more fit. And that worked, but this is way better. So what we do now is, after the ramp test, we have learned after ramp test, what levels you should be at. So if you are, air quotes, bad at VO2, and maybe you need to start your progression at a 115, 118%. Well, we've now learned that, and we'll start you at that level in order to progress through that energy system. Same thing with threshold, that we can put you at the more appropriate place. And people are pretty wide. You can be all over the place. Another thing that this is really cool is inside of, because we have levels, and we've experienced this a little hard. Once you start doing it, you really experience it. But let's say my FTP right now, I'm a 350 FTP at a level 4 threshold. If I'm a level 8 threshold at 350, I am way faster. You get to really feel and see your performance increase without having to do a ramp test all the time. Mm-hmm. And then what we did is once you do a new ramp test and you get a new FTP, we made that relationship more linear. So everyone who's experienced that where you do a ramp test and then your next workout is so hard, it will now be more progressive and it'll be more lined up to your performance and where you should be. But two, you see some people, I hope this is the way that people start talking about it, but they'll say, hey, my FTP is, some big number. And you say, well, what level can you do? And they're like, I can do a level 2. We have an internal system that can show a 370 level 2 is really like a 340 at level 8. There's some room in here that you can grow and stuff. And it's also nice as if you don't retest all the time, you got a good way to go up and down. I think people will, as you start using these, you'll really get to understand. Now, John, you had something like this happen to you, didn't you?
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this on the podcast, and I've alluded to this. By the way, if anybody's playing the drinking game right now, I'm going to give you terms after this, and you're going to have to go back to prior episodes and find all the Easter eggs that we nested into this podcast, key terms for this to try to lead you all on. But anyways, within this, I was sick, took some time off on the bike, then took a ramp test, scored what I thought was low. It was 287. And I was like, man, in a week, I bet I'm going to be way above this. And if you're listening to this, you may have been in this situation before where you're either disappointed because you feel like the test doesn't represent your actual ability for one reason or another, or just, life dealt you lemons and that's all you could do. But I stayed the course because I wanted to test the system. And what happened is that as I started training, and Nate will get into this in just a little bit, but we have the objective feedback that is our performance data, and then our subjective feedback, which is a very short, quick, one-click survey after you finish a ride to let you know how the ride felt. I was saying that ride felt easy, that ride felt easy. And then our system was giving me workouts within these progressions that were ramping up faster. And as a result, I got to that kind of, and forgive the term here, but I got to that sweet spot of where I needed to be. Sorry, yeah, it's good. Yeah. I got to that sweet spot of where I needed to be to hit the ideal progression. I had the best training I've ever had. And that was a 5-week loading block. Went into a ramp. So keep in mind, bad FTP test result in my mind, right? And then I had fantastic training right after that. So that's one thing. Then I had a really high, I thought high, I ended up going all the way from 287 to 311, really excited. And everybody that's hearing this, the first thing that you think of when you have a really good ramp test result is you're like, oh my gosh, my workouts are going to crush me, right?
Those next workouts. Yeah.
Yes. And I was terrified of it, but I went into my next workouts, perfectly linear build. So if I can use my hands to illustrate this, you have a bad ramp test, you feel like your training isn't enough. And then you have a really good ramp test and you feel like your training is killing you and you drop back down again. It's not like that at all. So when you have these tests where the results are variable or not representative of what you feel, it doesn't matter. It adjusts for it as it goes. And then you get this really linear trajectory. And there's something really cool that happens when every single workout, and this is leading to, but every single workout falls within this achievable and productive range where it makes you excited to get back on the bike. It's discouraging to go through and to fail workout after workout, right? Or to feel like you're just not being strained enough with the workouts. And this makes sure that it's always well calibrated to you. It's super cool. And how it works the ramp test.
Yeah, big time. And I just want to jump in here and say, if anybody thinks it sounds really complicated, it is. But at the end of the day, what this means for you is you get to see the progress that you're doing, where you're putting in the work. And a lot of the things that we've been talking about on the podcast and encouraging our athletes to do, it's going to be automated in the system. So a lot of these bumps in the road that you might have experienced where, it was a matter of having to listen to your body and kind of figure out where you need to be, this system actually does it for you. So even though what we're talking about right now sounds complicated, what adaptive training does is it makes it just automated, easy, and you don't have to do anything. It's going to do it for you. And Nate's going to get in a little bit more detail on that, but just remember, it's from the standpoint of how this is going to make your life, it's going to make your life easier, less complicated and easier.
What it feels like is the right workout every time.
Yes.
And that's honestly just what it feels like. And that's as easy as it is to use. Like all this stuff that we're talking about, we're revealing the curtain, we're lifting the curtain and showing you everything behind. But when you train, it just feels like the right workout every time.
The goal is, and this sounds funny, but is to clone Chad. So if you had, I mean, if after every workout, you could have a little quick chat with Chad and he found out something and he's like, okay, I'm going to adjust your training plan, bloop, 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 bloop. But Chad also had the knowledge of 100 million workouts in his brain of how that can then adapt and move people around. That is what the goal is. And that's the long-term goal on this absolutely is to beat a human coach for picking workouts. And I believe that what we're announcing today beats a lot of them. I don't have the data that's going to beat everyone, but in all situations. But we're going to try our best to get there. And I think it beats a lot of coaches. Sorry, coaches. I still love you for skills and accountability and all this sort of stuff. Okay, so going back, there is talking about the levels. Now, inside the levels, we know the progression, and we know what level you are inside of it. Now, one issue we've had, and we have a lot of data on this, it was horrible. People would sign up for TrainerRoad, they would do the ramp test, and then they would do this workout called Abbott. And Abbott was it was like 2 A's in a row, or A, B, and it was right at the top of the workout list.
It was alphabetical.
It was alphabetical. Yeah. So they did that. They're like, oh, it's the first one. That is like a level 9 anaerobic workout, and it would destroy people. It was so hard. And then we would see in the data, oh, they did one workout, Abbott, and they left TrainerRoad. And then people go, TrainerRoad is too hard, because they were expecting every workout to be achievable for them at whatever their fitness level is. And this is our fault because we did not put guardrails on it, right? We gave you just a bunch of knives, and we're like, you go for it. You figure out the knife you want in that situation. The training plan was better, but the workout library had no context. And IF and TSS, although good in some ways, did not give you enough information to make these choices intelligently. And it's hard to commute. I mean, it's really hard. Have you ever tried telling someone what intensity factor is who's never been into power training stuff? It's very hard to explain. So what we do is we've categorized all of our workouts now. This is a dynamic categorization for you. And we have 4 different levels. I think it's 4. So we have one is achievable. This is anything that's below your current level in that zone. An achievable workout, that's like money in the bank. It might be a little bit hard, but it's not one of those really stressful ones. You can do it. The plans will have achievable workouts on them. These are like kind of, don't feel bad about doing achievable workouts. You're getting something done. They're good. The next one is called progressive. Progressive means by doing this, you are pushing your level forward, but it's in a progressive, productive manner. It's productive, isn't it?
Yeah, productive is
the
level.
I always keep calling it. We had different internal names, so I keep calling it the wrong thing. Productive. The workout after that is called stretch. Now, a stretch workout, you probably have all heard of this, is where you might be thinking, like John did, hey, I feel extra good today. I want to do something a little bit more. And you can attempt a stretch workout. We're not going to really prescribe it to you, but if you want to, you can, and then our system will learn faster because you then achieve that stretch workout. After that, there is breakthrough. Breakthrough is many levels above your current level. If for some reason you think everything is wrong for you, you can achieve a breakthrough workout and then move forward. And then we have not recommended after that. That's for many levels, and we not recommended. Those are our rails. So now what happens is when new users come in, we're going to talk about train now and the training plans for a second. But at least in the workout list, there is some not recommended. You can see ones that are achievable, which ones are productive for you, and that really helps. I'm going to talk about workout profiles next. You okay? Can we move to workout profiles? Okay. Okay. We have a new one more level of profiling our workouts. So let me go into VO2 max. VO2 max, there's a lot of different ways. There's shorts, there's sustained float sets, and inside of a workout, inside of a energy system and a progression side of that, it's very different to do a workout that's like this, which is, what is this, 30 on, 30 off, versus a traditional one where it's a long ramp. So we have categorized all of our, 1,400 workouts or something that we have. So you can come in here and you can say, well, here are all the on-off workouts. Those will load, and then they're by progression. So the easiest one, Sleeping Beauty -5, and then as you go down, you can see more levels and more workouts. You can mark them on the side to see all the levels if you want to see what the level 8s look like, the duration, but also the difficulty. So now I can say, hey, today if I want to do a VO2 max on-off and choose productive, it will show me all of those in order. So based on my current levels, this now shows all the workouts that would be productive for me, and I can do more, filtering by duration, that sort of stuff. This feature that I'm talking about right here, this is more for what we call like data scientists. There's another persona that we call just tell me what to do, and I'm going to show you, or we're going to show you in a little bit, if you don't have to know any of this stuff, I'm kind of just explaining the details. We're just going to give you workouts that are good for you. But if you really want to get into it, you can look at it. And I want to tell everyone too, the difference between a 4.5 and a 5.1, like you can feel it, right, gang?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Substantial.
Oh, yeah.
So if I wanted to too, I could say, where are all the sustained VO2 max that are productive for me? Mm-hmm. Those will come up. And these are very different workouts. But this is, last week we were talking about, or 2 weeks ago, searching for over-unders. And I was like, oh, there's such a good way to do over-unders. But now I can open up Threshold, click on over-unders, and I can have I'm going to turn off productive. And I can have a complete list from easy to hard of what those levels are. Now, one thing I want to be clear here is that not all combos are possible. So if you want a threshold workout that is 2 hours long and a level 1 is probably not in our system, because just the fact that it is so long, there's no easy workout for that. Okay. So, or you want a 4-hour endurance ride that is a level 1. That's just not possible. So if you see holes in it, that is why. But you can still move through and see all this stuff. So this part, workout profiles, it's a very small part of it, but it is needed to build these progressive systems inside of training plans and to use the new Train Now feature. Yes, Amber?
Yeah, I just want to reemphasize that when you look at this list and you see these labels of achievable and productive, that's achievable for you on that day, productive for you on that day. So different people at different points in their training plans are going to see different labels on possibly the same workout, because your fitness is going to be changing throughout your own training plan and somebody else's fitness is going to be different from yours. So whether or not a workout is achievable, productive, stretch, or breakthrough for you is going to depend on where you are in your training plan and what your individual progression levels are in the moment. So all of this stuff is going to change real time as you're progressing through your plan, and it's going to be individual to you.
Exactly. So that's a great segue, Amber. Thank you. Into training plans. Here is a problem, well, two problems. The first problem with our training plan is our current training plans are, if you miss something, the next week gets harder. And this has been, I always described to people like, if we're doing squats with 200 pounds on our backs and it crushes you, we're like, next week we're doing 225. Then we're doing 250. And you could have manually have adjusted it and repeated workouts before, but because what you do is you miss that progression, and you miss a step in the progression because you failed it. And it might have been just because you had a bad night's sleep. It could have been because you didn't have time to finish the workout. You got busy, right? So now what happens inside of that is based on your ramp test and your progression levels, it's a custom training plan for you. But then as you go through it, it is constantly adapting to your performance. So if you miss a workout, it will make sure that that it gets you the correct workout after that, even with the amount of space and time between the workouts. It's very cool. Yeah, John?
Yeah. And so I'm going to apply some context to this. So you work a really hard day, right? And you're completely exhausted. This is another way that it will be adjusting this. And you can't do your workout for one reason or another, or you fail the workout. Once again, it's going to, that same thing is going to happen of not making you just jump up to the next rung on the ladder for the next workout. It will adjust for that. So I just saw that question come through on the live stream, and I figure a lot of people probably have a question like that. And that's how this addresses those sort of problems right there. It's super cool. It's not up to you to filter through and find those workouts. This is what this system does. It makes sure you get the right workout that you need at that time.
Yeah. So everything I just talked about with workout profiles, levels, stretch, breakthrough, with adaptive training, literally it just comes up and says adaptions. You can click yes or accept always. So if you don't care about the details, you click accept always, and your plan just always updates automatically like someone was in there changing it for you based on your performance.
Right. So I'm just going to give a quick high-level comment on this. So the way it works is we're going to check in with what's going on with your plan almost every day, at least every scheduled workout. And we're going to check and see, has something happened? How did the previous workout go? Where are your progression levels right now? Have they changed? And do we need to adapt your upcoming workouts? And if we do, you're going to get an automatic adaptation. And so your plan, your training plan is, we're constantly checking your training plan and we're constantly updating it for you. And you can decide how you want to do it. You can either accept those adaptations or not, or auto accept them and it'll just automatically update. But it's going to be constantly adapting to exactly what's going on with you as an individual in your life, which is amazing. So again, this is like, we're trying to, these are things that we have tried to empower athletes to do for themselves, but now we're going to be able to do this automatically for you within your training plan with adaptive training as a system.
It trains you as an individual. That's the cool part, right?
If you like this video, make sure you give us a thumbs up.
If you didn't like this video, you can give it a thumbs down, but let us know what you would have done differently in the comments below.
If you want to see more of these videos, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to become a faster cyclist, check out TrainerRoad.com.
Do it.
If you think I have better hair than Jonathan, give it a thumbs up. If not, leave a comment.
My hair is better than his.